So I've been having a code P11DC on my 2018 Chevrolet Silverado L5P Duramax, and it's just been a returning code. I can't seem to shake it. I cleared it a couple of times after I did an engine swap, and that's the only code that keeps coming back. So I bought one. I decided in the middle of the night it would be a good time to put it in. Bad judgment, I guess. But here's the part number. The 127-18676, and I'm gonna go ahead and get out here and get this one put in. I got the other one broke loose, and I wanted to show you guys what it was because of the last time I did not make a video on it. I've replaced the position 1 sensor twice, and I've replaced this one once. And the last time was the middle of the night, and I did at a shop, did it at Indiana Transport Shop, and there's people in there. I didn't want to make a video on it. Right there hanging on my keychain rack is a position 1 NOX sensor, the original out of the truck. One day I'll throw that away. So earlier today I changed my oil. I did service the spin-on transmission filter, fuel filter, all that stuff, and I remembered about this code. Now, for the most part, it is intermittent. Sometimes it doesn't come back, but recently when I'm out on the road on long trips, it comes up, you clear it, and sometimes it'll stay gone. Most of the time, it's got to where most of the time it comes back. Well, in case anyone is wondering, the position 1 NOx sensor is right there. That one behind the turbo. The wire runs up, and it runs over here to this module right here. 1 10mm nut on the top, 1 on the bottom, 1 plug, and that wire runs out of it over there. Now, position 2, if you go right down here behind your def tank, and this is where I put my onboard air, which sucks when you have to change the NOx sensor, because there are 2 10mm bolts, just like I showed on the one up top. One right here, and one in the opposite corner, right on the other side of that plug there, if you can see it, right kind of up in there. So it's almost out, and I got to thinking, you know what, before I go any further, I want to get the sensor itself loose. Now what it does is, the wire runs up and along. Right here's the wire for it, and it runs to the end of that ratchet. We'll zoom in for you guys, and that is one of the sensor sockets. I do not know what size it is, but I will figure it out and get it to you in the end of this video. So I did put this flex head ratchet on it and took a breaker bar, and it was super tight. And it really didn't take that much pressure, and it came loose. Now, I made sure the last time I changed it, I didn't try to put it in like He-Man. I just snugged it up, So it did take a little bit of pressure, and it came right out. Thank goodness it came right out. So there's no way I'm going to be able to hold the phone and unscrew that. So I could, but after you turn a couple turns, you got to reset the socket on that wire, or it'll twist the wire up. But anyway, it is loose. I'll get that out. I'll get this other 10mm bolt out over here, and then I'll get back with you guys. So here is the NOx sensor itself. Trying to keep it where you guys can see it because I have the light on my head. But that's it. I may have scratched it around a little bit trying to pull it back out, but that's a 7/8. Takes a 7/8 socket to fit that. So anyway, I did get both the bolts out right here, and it took entirely too long because that's where I chose to put my air tank. So if I would have put it somewhere else, it wouldn't have been anywhere near that bad, but who knew? So now I need to pull this down where I can get at this plug and unplug that, but about like everything else, kind of hard to do with one hand, so I will fish this guy out and I will be back. The old one is out. Like I say, it's only two 10mm bolts, one here, and then 7/8 sensor socket for this with a swivel head ratchet and some sort of breaker bar, short breaker bar. That's all I used, and I hope if anybody else tries it, they have good enough luck. I was nervous that was going to give issues, but it screwed right out. So if you want to see the part number on the bottom, I did get this one from GM as well. So the part numbers have changed, it looks like, because this is 126760706, and this is, let's see what it, read it right off the sensor itself. This is 1271876. But I did get this at Naquin in Elkhart, Indiana, and I told them position 2, so we're gonna hope that this is the correct one. So anyway, it's kind of getting late, getting cold. I'm gonna try to get bolting the box back up around that air tank is probably the hardest part, so I'm gonna get that done. It's just the 2 bolts going to frame. If you don't have the air tank right there, it's gravy. The plug that goes on here, if you take a little pick and get right up under the latch and lift up and wiggle, it'll pop right off. There's a red lock in there, but I've never had a lot of luck with those. I just go straight in, lift the tab, pull it off. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this one installed. It's just screwing this piece into the pipe, screwing that piece into the pipe and snugging it up. 2 bolts right here. So I got the position 2 NOX sensor put in, and I jumped in the truck, fired it up, and wanted to let the heater warm up. About to freeze out there. But anyway, it's still pulling that code. Now the last time I replaced it, it pulled that. I rode around all day long around town, and it still had the code, and by the end of the day it went away. And it's the first time I've seen 11DC since. So I'm hoping that's gonna fix me up. But I have to leave tomorrow. For Reno, and I'll go to Indiana and then go to Reno. So I'll let you guys know if it comes back or how it plays out after I get some miles on it. So truck is running. There is the new sensor right there, and the wire just runs along the edge of the frame there, and got the 2 bolts back in there and got 1 plug. It's really not a bad job. It's just time consuming. If someone wouldn't have put an air tank right here, it'd been a whole lot easier. Anyway guys, I'm gonna hang it up and I'll let you know a couple days in if they got rid of my code or not. So I did freeze my butt off last night putting the position 2 NOX sensor in, and the reason I did that is because I knew I had to drive to Indiana tonight, which this is the next night. I've driven it all day. I came out, started up this morning, let it idle for a long time while I was packing the truck up, getting it ready to go. I put all my junk in here, and I'm leaving tomorrow going to Reno. So I wanted that sensor changed before I left. I'm sick and tired of seeing the check engine light come on after 50 miles. It started doing it after I put the engine in. I got it on maybe the second trip out, and then on this last trip out, it was every time I would cut the truck off within 50 miles, the light would come back, P11DC. And I looked it up, and it was the same code I had the last time I changed the position 2 NOX sensor. I can't remember the mileage. I have it written down, but anyway, it's been a while back. It's been over a year ago. So I checked the codes when I first fired it up this morning, and that code was still in there with some other codes, and I cleared it. Then I drove it 8.5 hours to Indiana. I'm in Rochester, Indiana tonight, and I haven't looked at again since I left the house, but I have not seen a check engine light, and that makes me happy. So if you're getting a P11DC, I would recommend to change that position to NOX sensor. And if you do have to change it, I hope you have as good luck as I've had twice so far, which the new one does have anti-seize on the nut when you screw it in there, and I'm thinking that's probably why I had such good luck getting it out. And it's not easy. You need a flex head ratchet, a 7/8 sensor socket, and a lot of patience. And the most aggravating part of getting mine out last night was probably having to take that air tank loose. And I put that there. It was a good place for it. It is a good place for it, as long as you don't have to change that NOX sensor, then it's all up in the way. But if you don't have that there, then you should be good. Anyway, guys, I hope this video helped. I wished it could have been better, but I was tired and cold. But yeah, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.